So perhaps do more interaction according to what topics are up for people. The opening that I have had.
I think so.
The opening that I've had over the last 24 hours has to do with the way in which we perceive and experience and thereby create our reality, and the access that, because of the work that all of us have done together and individually, the access that we have to modifying that, to relieving some of the edges of that perhaps priorly in our lives would have been tough, would have been hurtful, would have been against ourselves. So a fundamental aspect of the early childhood wound conclusion, which is another way of saying our ego identity, is an aspect of that has to do with our resistance to it, our belief in it. These are all components of that. And then the way in which it creates the distortion in the perceiving lens that we perceive our reality through. And that's where we get our favorite quote from Paul Levy: "As viewed, so appears." So we have this light of awareness on this whole dynamic of identity and limitation and distortion, right? And in this, even in this understanding that I'm describing, that most of us have some access to, at least some of the time, the piece that's most important is the realization that the one that is aware of it is who I am, and that is awareness. So even as we work at the level of the problem, whether it's psychologically or whether we are privy to the 6 steps and working at the level of the distortion, right? The conclusion that was an error, and seeing that wherever we're working without awareness, we don't get to do that. And that's the most impacting understanding. And that's the most profound understanding that can literally in any moment open us into our true nature as that, as awareness. Awareness has qualities of it has qualities of arising, it has qualities of including, it has all kinds of qualities that we value. But the most important thing is that it is the very nature of reality. Consciousness for the human being, awareness for our truth of who we are. And consciousness without an object is the free flow of awareness that we are often experiencing during meditation, and often during the work when something clears and there's just light and there's just wonder. And so today with the small group, we can do individual work, or we can, I will entertain whatever topics might be up for any of you all in the work that you're doing on your own. Most all of you in here I work with directly, or at least have in the past and do now in our group here in the Sangha here on Maui. It's been such an awakening, vibrant experience to see the response, both on through technology on the Zoom and in the room here. And I always trust that whoever's showing up, and today, and like we just pointed to, how many there are? 5 of us
In the room here, but there's many more on the,
right.
on the.
Yeah, and so, it's like we share this possibility. We share that it may be true that I don't have to suffer. We share the light of the love that connects us all. What connects us all is our self-regard. From that place, I am totally available without judgment for my connection with each one of you. It's judgment, self-judgment that separates us. That's the, that's the quote that I often use from Harry Palmer, who was the creator of the avatar process. When you get that all judgment is self-judgment, all criticism is self-criticism, you will extend to yourself a light that will be the light of your world. And so as that light brightens, because we are in agreement regarding that, then we see more and more of the glory, of the peace, of everything that we value that is already present. It's present in our consciousness, and then it shows up in the projection of an external reality. So if there are any people that want to do some work, or if there are any topics that
Christie's hand popped right
there's a
up.
pop-up over here.
Comment just in what you were talking about.
Great.
I had a experience where a friend of mine was talking about how she had moved here and how we'd known each other for years, right? And as she's telling her beautiful story of how she overcame her fear of scuba diving and, these different things that she's saying, I'm going, well, I'm the one that opened your eyes to that. You're giving my ex all the credit, and this was me, and I'm feeling the resistance and that built up pressure going, right?
Right.
And then I'm going, wait a minute. I'm like, does it really matter? Do I need to stop her and correct her?
Good night.
This is all stuff that she's remembering, like that, so it really didn't matter. Is it the me that this body that I'm really worried she gives the credit to? Oh.
Right.
And then once I dropped that, and I just listened to her beautiful story, it just became so wonderful. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is so much better than resisting that.
What a great experience, because that's exactly right. When there's nothing, our true nature has nothing to get and nothing to avoid, right?
Yeah, but I did the steps because I'm like, oh, she doesn't remember it was me. I didn't matter. I don't,
Right, exactly. Trigger and release. Yes.
I'm just aware that she remembered.
That's right.
And yeah, I'm aware of it now. Okay, yeah. This is great.
It's a freedom in not needing to be considered, not needing what approval, not approval, credit. The freedom in not needing credit leaves you with the freedom of not receiving blame. But
see? And that's true too. I'm like, oh good, all the times that I thought I screwed up and people won't even remember. And if they do, well.
yeah, when we're not identified as the me was created out of an idea of not good enough or not the one. It was created out of an imposition of limitation on our idea of ourself. And it created a me or a person. And then that me or that person has attention particles magnetized into an external to see if I'm getting credit, to see if I'm being blamed, right? Like this, when the opening into heaven is here within us, it's like this turning in, and then that beautiful garden arises within us, and we take it wherever we go. So we are contributing to a new heaven and a new earth through the shift in our own consciousness. It's such a cool deal.
It was.
Thank you, Christy.
Thanks for helping me, Polly.
Yes, we are.
But I feel like when I hear that story, I feel like it's like air pollution getting like it's a filter clearing the air that we're all breathing. Like it's one less person I have to feel that tension in the field or something. It's like it just purifies the air. It clears the air. Yeah. Interesting. I never thought of that before, but I can just feel your clarity.
That's right.
And so you're not carrying that cloud of contraction. And so it's not here.
Mhm. I've been getting better and better at just allowing and just
Yes.
realizing I'm feeling tense. This is feeling tense in my body. Why? And then just feeling into that and be like, oh, this is the story I'm telling myself. How funny. You know, like, why was I doing that?
Yeah, that increasing awareness is what shifts our frequency, and that's what shifts realities, as we know. The fun of seeing what has limited you and being able to let it go is starts to be an aspect of doing this work. You know, the nature of reality as a reflection. I used to, I think when I was doing small groups or on Maui over the years, because I came back to Maui in 2010 after the awakening. And I started off by just working one-on-one with people. And then there were small groups that gathered. And I was living in a different part of the island. Oh, but I used to tell everybody would come in and be seated, and I would say, there's a knock at the door right now. Could somebody get that? And I would have somebody who was going to go open the door. And I would say, who is there? And they said, everybody in here has an envelope. And so I said, well, and this is all pretense, pass out the envelopes. What the envelopes were the documentation that you were never the person you thought you were. So that you had to be, it's like now we're all with a clean slate here. What am I wanting to express, you know? Because with that identity with me as Paul or with Tashina or Star or Christy, you know, with that identity lens in place, then I'm caught in a limitation. So the realization that it is in the I, the identity of the beholder, that creates one's limitation here as an avatar, and one's limitation in terms of seeing through the screen, the distortion screen of that identity. So it's a beautiful thing to start to be freer and freer, freeing into expression, where we used to be curtailing our expression because of an early wounded conclusion about ourselves. I'm not smart enough, I don't matter, or nobody wants to hear what I have to say, or whatever that is. As those things clear, then we're just in simple, easy connection and simple, easy expression. And then we start to feel the connection. We start to experience the Sangha, the coming together, which the ones of us that are here right now on Zoom and in the room have a kind of sense of the support. It's an underpinning. It is already who we are, and seeing ourselves as a group with the specificity of individuality and the expression of different gifts and different talents. We might say different human designs, but at the level of our acknowledging that we are in this together, we are creators potentially of a new heaven and a new earth. And that's the awareness that we bring. Every bit of work that each of us does on our own clearing creates an aspect in the morphogenetic field that has to do with connection and peace and love and everything that we value. So thank you, Christine.
Anyone in a Zoom box, or Tashina's got her hand, yeah?
Yeah, there's a gift that I received, some synchronicity that came with it. A friend of mine was in a small gathering with Joe Dispenza and all the heart math people in Santa Cruz just about 10 days ago. And Will had just ordered the heart math little mechanism that you use to keep yourself in coherence, and I used it and checked it out before, but never really, I didn't buy it. I used my friends and I gave it back, and he was maybe this is TMI, but kind of fun information, but he was reading this golf book, and in the golf book, it was called The Purpose of every shot has a purpose. And in the book, it suggested that he buy a heart math to really be in coherence when he played the golf, and it was all about life. So my girlfriend just had gone to this workshop, and she said, oh, I have this gift for you, and she is gifting me with the 4-day workshop that was Zoomed, and it was live, and I can watch it on watch it on my computer. So the last couple of days I've been in retreat at Lily's, and it was these two women that wrote the book were sitting right in front of her, that they coach the best golfers in the world. And my friend that gave me the program just had her father had just died, and he had a golf course. And they said they would help her sell the golf course. So there were so many fun things. But anyway, the point that I'm getting to, which with all that magic and synchronicity and cool stuff. Hi, Robert.
Hello.
Is that I've been watching it the last couple of days at Lily's on a retreat. And what we're doing here in the Sangha, and what you're talking about, creating the heaven on earth, is really documented now, and it's measurable, and it's scientific, and it's really clear that where each of us get in brain and heart coherence, that we are changing the world, we're changing our environment, we're changing our chemicals in our body. And I knew it, but somehow to see these graphs and all of this
Right.
different information about it, and how when we do it on our own, it's great, but when we do it in a group, it's even more amplified and even better. And the fact is that when we have friends, rather than just people we gather that we don't know, and we're doing healing, and we send it out to a particular area or an environment or a person like Connie, sending love to Connie, that it has much more power than it does if it's just people that are gathered that don't know each other. And I'm just learning so many different things about how we're each creating heaven on earth with our own work. And I didn't really know what brain coherence meant, but I got a new insight of why there's so many miracles happening when people are getting in coherence. It's because they literally are changing the chemicals in their body. And that means that their nervous system, their digestive system, the immune system, the hormonal system, every system in the body is aligning to perfect health. And that's where people are having these miracles, because their body, when it goes into coherence on a regular basis, it changes them to get well from stage 4 cancers or MS or ALS or whatever. So I am just so excited that I just have a whole new level of enthusiasm about my meditation, about being in brain heart coherence, about choosing love. And I just I hope to share my enthusiasm with you and on the screen, that what we're doing is really making a difference. And it's tangible, measurable, and scientifically documented now, which is so fun. So I'm looking forward to, maybe when I go back to Ashland, having a group, and doing some meditation. But I just thought it would be neat if we all knew that that's what we were doing. And maybe we had a direction of, like, we do focus how we've been focusing on Connie, or we focused on Max, or, when we know someone is going through something in our song, that probably when you were ill, we focused on you. So using our power, using the battery that we have as a Sangha deliberately, I think would just be really amazing to go beyond ourselves and go into purpose with it in a way that made a difference.
Thank you, Tashina.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
excited.
beautiful. It's like the now biofeedback's coming into supporting consciousness.
yes,
And, the whole nature of biofeedback back probably in the 60s or 70s even, the idea of getting the results. But the heart entrainment is such a unique and powerful aspect of this, because, in my story, my teaching story of the fall was when we fell out of our hearts and into our minds. And so now we are wanting to allow the frequency of the mind to fall into and connect catalytically with the heart, right? So that we are of one frequency, and that one is coherent. And that, and it fits with our crazy quantum vertigo experience.
Yeah,
Right, right, yeah. That's so great. Yeah, are these kind of little calibrations that you wear? Oh,
Yes,
and-
it's right, you hook it onto your ear and then you hook it onto like your shirt. And then it's hooked up to an app, like a Bluetooth app, and it measures your heart rate variability and it tells you when you're in coherence and when you're not. It tells you like when you're out of it, when you're in the low, medium and high zone. And you know, we all have a friend that's going through some challenges and she's been monitoring, doing large amounts of meditation and monitoring with that heart math. And she's going into some really high numbers, even through tough times.
Mhm, right,
And practicing, and it's a way to like use our muscle. So I can test if I might think I'm in, but I'm really maybe not, or maybe I'm
Right.
only at a low level or
Right.
medium level. But so it's a way to validate and check and constantly go for, seeing when I'm in and when I'm out. It's a measurable way to get.
so it's the coherence between the brain and the heart?
Yes, brain and heart coherence.
Beautiful. Yeah,
And there's so many ways to do it. We got the 6 steps, we got our prayer, we got our meditation, we got nature, we got laughter and friendships. There's all these different ways that we're all going into coherence, but so however we each can do it our own way and we can, I'm recognizing the feeling now when I'm in it.
great, yeah.
And so now I can, be sustaining it. And it's not that my fear or anger or sadness when it shows up is a bad thing. It's like using it to point me, like a roadmap, to point me to 6 steps. Or to show me I'm out and I can get back in, when I'm actually back in again.
Right.
So it's just a nice little tool.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
It's reflective of the shift in consciousness that's going on in terms of waking up to one's true nature.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
yeah, but may I just share one more thing, my
Please.
excitement, my enthusiasm? People like myself and I know many of our friends were concerned about, let's say, EMFs and chemtrails and bad seed oils and processed food and all this stuff, and they're saying that if your body's in coherence, that those things just don't really affect you. And I think, Paula, you're a perfect example. I wanted to share that. You said, well, I can eat anything, or
Right,
you got
and
that
do.
work done and, that guy did that work on you and he was like, oh, you're in good, perfect health. And that's a coherent body and a coherent heart and brain.
Right.
And that's very inspiring. So some of us have to work harder, but, eventually that's where we know we're going.
Well, it's good to have the experience and the feedback to know that you're affecting the brain, the heart brain coherence that affects the entire body. Because it is the frequency of the body that, when we talk about the body taking the hit, we're talking about not being in
Absolutely.
in the arena, in the ring with some, we're talking about that frequency that's off, or that shift of that is self-judging or judging others, because it's the same thing. And so it's I've just been hearing about that biofeedback. That's really, really good.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Thanks, Tashina.
Yeah, thank you for letting me share my enthusiasm.
Yeah. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes.
Floor is open to anyone has a question or a topic.
I don't think I'm as good as Chat GPT, but I am willing. Any topic, anytime, let's see what we get. But because the reality is that it's in our connection together that whatever wisdom or help comes forth, it comes forth from the connection, not from me. There ain't no me here anymore.
Yeah, Maura.
Aloha, Pali, and everyone. Can you hear
Hello?
me?
Just,
I have been dealing with extreme exhaustion lately. And I keep trying to rise above it and say, I'll move through this, but it clings. So the mind goes, there must be something wrong with me. And so I'm sort of in that tunnel and trying to get out of it. And I wonder if you could throw a little wisdom at me so I could get my thinking clear.
yeah, well, have you used that fatigue as a trigger?
No.
Yeah, so if we use the fatigue as a trigger, I'm triggered, it's about me.
Hmm.
Right? The feeling is this deep fatigue, however you would describe it. That's your experience, right? Is there more about that?
Well, and the fear that's underneath it, there's something wrong. Something
Right.
going on in my
Yeah.
brain, or something's happening to my body that I don't know about, that maybe I should do something about, which I
That's
have been. And
right.
but I go in and out of it, and it's frustrating.
So using that constellation of fear and fatigue, it's the F and F syndrome. Using that, just allow yourself to recall any memory that aligns with that experience. A time when you experienced a similar thing. It may have, if it was early in your life, it may not have been the same thing as fatigue, but whatever this is going on with you right now, whatever that is, that experience, just see if an early memory of feeling that way shows up.
There's part of me that thinks I've been tired all my life and ready to elevate out of it. I think it's probably experience of other times I've been ill that's got triggered.
Right.
It could be
Do you have
something-
an early illness story in your early childhood?
nothing major, but just always a struggle with the body mind. I keep thinking what Ram Dass says. He said there's the soul, and then you have the human condition. So I think I'm stuck in the human condition right now. I need to get back into my soul and know that all is well.
Well, we don't want to put any sugar over shit here, do we?
Oh, I'm so good at that.
I know you are. I know how good you are. Yeah, that feeling, whenever you had that feeling, or even if if we're just using your current experience with that feeling, you believe it means something about you, and just free
Right.
associate with what you believe it means about you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm too old to handle this live stream anymore. It's a lot,
Uh-huh.
and I need to slow down
Mhm.
and drop in and maybe spend more time in meditation.
So I'm hearing you say it's a kind of an experience of overwhelm or too much, like.
A bit, yeah. And Max is coming to visit, so I'm kind of anxious about that. There's just some anxiety going on.
Mhm. So with all of that anxiety and all of the different facets of it, early on in your life, even though we're not accessing an early memory of this, with all of this condition, all these facets, you've believed, and I want you to free associate here, not put sugar over shit. You've believed it means something about you.
Yeah, that I've messed up somehow in taking
That's
enough care of myself.
That's right.
That
Well,
kind of thing.
and that you've messed up, it's self-judgment in a very particular way, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So this, in terms of the sixth step of forgiveness, I want you to stand as awareness with me, looking at what you just described. I know who I am, and I know what this is, right? But I am the awareness of it, not the syndrome. From that perspective, that is the forgiveness. I forgive myself for believing that I fucked up, that I messed up, that I'm responsible for this inability to have the energy and the engagement that I want,
That I've always had, so
right?
it's tricky.
But now you've believed that it's your fault that you don't have it.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see, that's what got installed. So that if you forgive yourself for believing that it's your fault, that is what's creating its inability to shift, is
Yeah.
that resistance to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the forgiveness is to relax out of all resistance to what it is that you think the problem is. That's what forgiveness is. So I forgive myself for ever having believed that I screwed up and now I'm in this less than optimum condition and it's my fault.
right.
Right.
I mean, darn well better do something about it. Instead of surrendering.
This is what you're doing about it.
Yeah,
Slippery as you are. This is what you're doing about it. And so the wide open space of awareness in which this body mind, this amora body mind arises, and it can be kind to itself. The self-judgment has stuck this condition with you. The resistance is what sticks us with the thing that we don't want.
yeah,
Relax, stop resisting, come home to the love that you are on your own behalf. It's for you.
yeah.
No more resistance. It's like if you're not feeling like getting up all day, you stay, you lie down, you relax. The resistance is what's keeping this immoral.
I think that's true. I really got that.
Okay, so are you willing to let go of the resistance to it and let it be whatever it is? That's a hard bar for you. I know.
Yeah. I am very willing. That's why I raised my hand. I thought I just got to plow through this because it's not who I am.
Yes. Yeah, so what we've plowed through is the resistance, and now it's just be with yourself, be kind to yourself, and the resistance mentally is held as it shouldn't be the way that it is.
Exactly, exactly.
And so we let that go. It's just what it is, no judgment,
Acceptance, acceptance.
right? And
Right.
just resting, right? It's your turn
Yeah,
to be on your own behalf.
yeah. If
That's
not now,
your
when,
duty.
right? Yeah, thank you, Polly. That helps. That really helps.
Love you.
I love you too.
Yeah, the resistance is the most potent kind of attention we give anything. And that's why when I talk about the field of allowing, that's where when we take anything into the field of allowing, there is possibility arising with it, around it, and the shifts can occur. But when the reason that we have the things that we don't want in terms of our experience, like pain or pissed offness or irritation or any kind of trigger, the reason we have it is because of the resistance to it. Because everything does come to pass if we allow. Right? We act as if it's about us. This is not about who you are. This is about something that happened that has triggered a memory of a conclusion about yourself. But now we're in the practice. All of this dissolves, is dispelled, becomes amorphous and available for our ease and peace and happy. Frequency is everything. So again, everything we needed to know about awakening, we know from the Beatles. Love is all there is, and let it be. That's the field of resistance.
How easy is that?
I know, exactly. Why not, huh?
Why not?
Good. So is Connie on the call?
She is.
I would love to hear how you are, sweetheart.
Give her a second. Connie,
Yeah.
Hey Polly, hey everybody.
hey, Connie.
Oh my goodness, I think of you so much.
Good. Send me some of that good juju. I've been struggling over here.
I know, baby, I know. Mhm. Yeah. How much are you in the rehab center now?
No, they released me on Friday and we made it to Tucson or to, where are we?
Phoenix.
Phoenix, where my daughter is.
Right,
And so we got everything set up here to transfer my care here. So I was doing the 6 steps along with Amora.
yeah,
Me too.
yeah. Yeah, so the allowing is a high bar when there's the neurological contraction in the body's response to incident, accident, illness, everything. There's a biology going on there, and so for the allowing to have its way with us, that's what the impediment is the neurology. But it's like the awareness of what it means to be on your own side and to be kind to yourself, and to the overwhelming frequency that shifts everything is forgiveness. It just is like, that's what love is. And our definition of forgiveness is when you get that what you thought happened or was the cause was never the happening of the cause. It just is, it's just life happening. And out of that spaciousness, we come home to ourselves. We all love you, sweetheart.
Thank you, Polly.
Love you, Connie.
Connie.
Yeah, love you, Connie.
Mm.
About 15 more minutes if anyone has a question or would like to do a piece of work with Polly.
So good that we're all awake together. I love that. We can start a meditation early.
Yeah, if there's no one else who wants to speak or interact with Polly.
I've got a question,
Okay, Robert.
kind of off topic, but we talked a week or so ago a little bit about consciousness and awareness being similar, but not quite the same. And then after we had that class, a day or two after that, I was just as confused as I ever was. Whatever I thought I learned when you said something after a day or two, I couldn't wrap my head around it anymore. So perhaps I could get you to revisit that.
Right, yeah, it is a kind of confounding topic because they are so often experienced as the same thing. Consciousness without an object is my sense of my pointer towards awareness. It's like awareness is everything. There's never not awareness. Now, when we talk about consciousness, we typically relate that or always have related that to the brain. And so that then we have the being unconscious could be anesthesia or brain injury or something, but awareness is always present. And awareness, and sometimes people have experiences that they would call out of body experiences when they're under anesthesia, because awareness this relieves itself of attachment to the body and is aware without going through the body mind. But awareness is who I am. And I don't think the distinction between awareness and consciousness is particularly helpful or important. We're conscious of everything we are aware of, but at the level of the way it's spoken of in the non-dual teaching, awareness is the one I am.
Okay.
Does consciousness not the one I am?
I think it I think it most often for people is they're mutually used. But when we look at the teaching definitions, awareness goes along more with the work of spiritual awakening.
Oh, I've heard that consciousness could be like one hair breadth, I'm using paraphrasing, of separation away from awareness. Like there's just a little piece.
Very thin line.
That's what I'm saying, just like a hair.
Right.
So, but, and I agree. I mean, I really resonated when you said, maybe not helpful to even,
Yeah.
you know, it's too relaxing to.
I think it's just so important to have and acknowledge the experience of how everything arises in awareness, because otherwise they ain't no arising. There's nothing to acknowledge it, to point to it, to report it, to experience it. Awareness, everything arises in awareness. So awareness is fundamental. You know, consciousness, like I said, tends to be of something. I'm conscious of this water bottle. Or I can be conscious of not having any objects, but I'm still aware. So I do think that the best distinction is that awareness is an aspect that we have collectively attributed to awakening. And that consciousnesses are more connected to the body-mind unit. And that may be off also.
Holly, I would appreciate a conversation around, I appreciated, the conversation around the heart, variability and
Around what?
the dance between, allowing the distorted feelings to arise so there's no resistance to that. And also having continuity with being in brain heart coherence. So we're just kind of bringing the conversation.
Mm.
And so my early childhood, I had an experience that was physical. So I'm sharing this because of Connie, but I'm sharing this because it's what, when I have stuff that comes up, it's the elephant.
Mhm.
You know, so it's like, oh, it could be this, it doesn't matter, all goes points to the one thing.
Mm.
And so, I find that when I allow the feelings, even though they don't feel good, to come up and transmute, there's an exquisite growth, like expansiveness that happens. And so I guess the question I have is, there's conversation around being consistent with having the heart brain coherence. And I know Joe Dispenza said that he did research on that he never asks for someone to tell their story of their past, because every time they do that, they can show that it negatively affects the brain through imaging and studies. So there's that dance of coherence and also allowing the distortion to come up and resolve itself, and just
I mean, like going into 6 steps, like you're going back and.
I'm just asking just a general question of I'm aware of that dance.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to bring forward, because you brought that forward, and so that brings up, you know, and the conversation a little bit with around when there's a physical, neurological, speaking to myself, not to anybody else, but like things that can happen, then I don't know how to express that, but perspective or your take on the importance of consistently having the brain heart coherence to remembering who I am, and yet allowing allowing the feelings, allowing the distortion to arise.
Yeah, well, there's such a great. It's so excellent that we understand that it's not like you're inviting, although fundamentally we always are, but it's not like you're inviting a trigger. So one of the things that attracted me to using the 6 steps was this issue that you're bringing up, where I didn't want to access in people their woundedness. This was decades ago, because I didn't want to do exactly that, right?
Right.
But when we're triggered, it's because it's available. It's kind of like, it's a knocking at the door. And so to go there, to answer the door and to relieve ourselves of it, I think is on behalf of the higher frequency. The implication of avoiding a trigger or avoiding a memory of something that impacts one in a bad negative way, energetically or emotionally or any way, is never, it's not going to clear. It's not going to clear. We are also good at putting sugar over shit. We're also good at bypassing ideas of ourselves. You know, we've learned, all of us that are on this awakening path, learned early on what we probably took into, I for sure did, a spiritual bypass expression. Everything's fine. Oh, no problem here. Right? Well, you know, the brilliance of Walzak's work has to do with, if you're triggered, listen to what the information that's coming, that's available for you, because it has not been neutered, it's been running the show. It's a frequency generator, and it's a distortion lens creation. It is not just, it's implicated in as viewed. That the very thing that will trigger you is absolutely activated in the distortion lens of how your reality shows up. So it's for me, it's like a no-brainer that if you're triggered, you take it on, you take a look, you do the work, and you are fine with it coming up a dozen times. Right? But the most important thing, the answer to your question is that we can't afford to not be in touch with the thing that's creating in our subconscious, that is made available to us when we're reactive to something in the present moment, circumstances, relationship, whatever.
So the trigger is not the problem. The resistance to the trigger is the thing that would create the negative heart math or something like that.
Right.
Because if you're with the trigger, there's compassion, there's a holding,
Yeah.
there's a
Mhm.
spaciousness
Allowing,
with
there's allowing.
it, there's an allowing
Yeah.
for it. So it's not the memory, it's not what happened, it's resisting it that creates the incoherence.
Whatever the conclusion was, when it gets triggered in us, that's the opportunity. And that's what this saga has been about for a while now. Thank you, Star.
Thank you. Any last thoughts, Polly, in the last
No thoughts,
couple minutes?
no thinking aloud.
I have a comment
Yeah.
to do with that. So as I was getting divorced, I was going to work, and over the loudspeakers of the mall, they would play this song, "What do you do when the girl next to you isn't the one that you love?" It was an awful song. Awful. The customers would comment, "What the heck why would they do that?" You know, like, and I had no idea, and it really got under my craw. Like this, I'm like, this is kind of just what happened, and I'm like, oh my gosh. and they would play it twice a day. I couldn't escape it. It was there, and it built up more and more. And I was just like, oh my gosh, and I told the people I worked with, because I'm like, if I freaking go home and kill myself, like, I told my mom to sue them all, because I'm all, this is awful, this is killing people's psyche, why would you just play this? And nobody did anything, but there was one of the girls, they had this little clique, and it was like kind of a mean girl situation, right? And she comes up and starts singing it in my face one day, and I lost it. It was Valentine's Day, I lost it. I had to go outside, I had to like calm myself down. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Finally, I get done with this. I'm like, I flipped it from that resistance, right? She comes up to me, she starts singing it again in my face. And I just turned and looked at her and I said, well, then obviously he's not the one for me.
Yeah.
And it felt so empowering, and she looked at me and she's like, oh, and we actually became really good friends after that. But
The great turnaround.
it just was that end of resistance to it.
Exactly.
And
Right.
every time it would start playing after that, it didn't even click.
Right, exactly. That's great, Chrissy, thank you for sharing.
Okay,
And
sorry.
that's a perfect example, and it works, whether or not you're doing spiritual work, it works, but it's a part of physics, the way resistance and allowing works.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I'm putting in the chat, Polly and I are gonna be doing a course next Tuesday from 9 to 10:15 Hawaii time on fear and the spleen center. We get all these different people saying they're not being able to sleep at night, and all the fears or that stuff that's coming up with politics in the world. And so I put the link in the chat. Yeah, Robert?
Okay, it's what day and time?
Tuesday, 9 a.m. Hawaii time. On Zoom.
Okay, and is this a one time or?
It's a one time. This one's one time. Then after that, starting in May, we're gonna do a 9-week course.
That's gonna be on what day?
Fridays at
Those are
10:15.
Okay, yes.
And if you have a splenic, does that mean that you like manifesting splenic? For me, that would mean that I don't have that, right? The fear. If you got fear, if you got splenic in there, is it always gonna represent fear?
The spleen, so just briefly, the spleen is the center it's an awareness center, and we're aware of, it's like the animal aspect of us. Like we're aware in the present moment, am I safe? Is my body safe? It's the fear center, it's intuition, it's health and well-being, it's time. So if you're a splenic manifestor, that means you go to your spleen center for your guidance. It's your guidance system. So you listen for the whispers.
Yeah, the whisper that happens in a split second.
Yeah, that's the one you listen for. Exactly. But we'll cover all of this on Tuesday.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank
All
you.
right, you guys, thank you so much. We're gonna pause the recording here now.
Love you, Connie.